This is a quick question. This is the only question I got this week. 3.2, number 7 online. And I'm going to take a minute and go over this question since it's the only one I got in this week. Let me turn on my whiteboard. And there we are. And the question says, blah, 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 find this and that. And basically, we're going to use the complete the square. So, here we go with complete the square. Trying to get rid of this. There we go. And we got negative x squared minus 3x plus blank is equal to negative 1 plus blank. Factor out a negative 1 because that's a negative 1 right there. So we need to factor it out. It's got to be a positive 1. So that's negative 1 x squared minus 3, that'd be a plus 3x plus blank is equal to negative 1 plus negative 1 times blank. And that's because if you watch the videos, whatever you factor out, you have to multiply on the right-hand side. And if you watch my videos, you'll see that. Whatever you factor out, you have to multiply on the right-hand side. So, now I can complete the square. 3 divided by 2 squared is equal to 9 fourths. 9 fourths and 9 fourths. That's going to give us negative 1. Shortcut number 1 right here. So that's x plus 3 halves quantity squared is equal to, well, I'm going to make this into 4 fourths. Negative 4 fourths minus 9 fourths. And that's going to be negative 1 times x plus 3 halves quantity squared is equal to negative 13 fourths. Now at this point, I'm going to put this in a block because we got several things we can do here. And if you watch my videos, you will see that I do several things here. One is I go over here and I write it in this form right here. That's called Intercept Form. F of x is equal to negative 1 times x plus 3 halves quantity squared plus 13 fourths. Okay, that's the way they want it. Okay, so that's, you don't have to put the negative 1, but you got to put the negative. All right, that's the way they're wanting it right here. Okay, now what's the vertex? The vertex is negative 3 halves, take the opposite, comma, and positive 13 fourths. That's your vertex. And then we're going to go over here and find the x-intercepts. So negative 1, x plus 3 halves, quantity squared is equal to negative 13 fourths. You might think, since this is negative, that there's not going to be any x-intercepts, but that's not true because you divide by negative 1 to get rid of this, and that changes this into a positive 13 fourths. Take the square root of both sides, and that's going to be x plus 3 halves is equal to positive or negative square root of 13 over 2. And then minus 3 halves, x is equal to positive or negative square root of 13 minus 3 over 2. And your answer is going to be some form of that, either broken up or in unison with like that. It could be square root of 13 minus 3 over 2, comma, negative square root of 13 minus 3 over 2. That's another variation of the answer. Both of these are the same. Okay? Now, to graph the square root of 13, you go up here and say, okay, wait a minute, square root of 13. What is square root of 13? I do it on a calculator, but I don't want to be dependent on the calculator. Square root of 9 is equal to 3. Square root of 16 is equal to 4. 3.5 is in the middle. And then you just find half, a half, half. So 9 and 16 is what? 7. Half of 7 is 3.5. That's square root of 12.5. We want the square root of 13. So 3.6. So this is 3.6, 3.6. So 3.6 minus 3 is 0.6, that would be a 0.3. And then negative 3.6 minus 3 is negative 6.6, which would be negative 3.3. Now you take all this information, we know that this is the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is right here. We know it's opening downward because of this, so it's opening downward. We know that the vertex is negative 1.5 and 13/4, which is 4 1/4. Somewhere right in there. Maybe off. You have to blow this up and do it. And then the vertex is 0.3, which this is 0.25, so 0.3 would be right in there. And then negative 3.3 be right in here. So it looks like that. And of course, you just have to manipulate the graph with the tools and get it to look like that. I think all they're wanting is the vertex and the y-intercept because it's kind of hard. It's going to be kind of hard to put these two because it's 0.3 and 3.3. I think they're wanting this and that, and then it draws the graph. So, and I tell everybody, like on my videos, if you can do all of that and give me the domain and range and the increasing and decreasing values, the domain is all real numbers because all of these, when you have a square, the domain is all real numbers. The range is from negative infinity to whatever that is, 13/4. So range is negative infinity to positive, what, 13/4? 13/4. That's your range. You're increasing negative infinity to negative 3/2. That's increasing. Negative infinity to negative 3/2. And then decreasing from negative 3/2 to positive infinity. Oops, positive infinity. So that's your domain, that's your range, that's your increasing values, and that's your decreasing values. And if you follow my videos, I spend a whole, especially last semester or spring of 2017, I spend a whole week and a half, 2 weeks, doing nothing but these. I think there's about 10 or 11 problems I do on a difficulty level from 1 to 10, pretty much. And you should look at those videos and on YouTube, and hopefully that helps.